Hello and welcome to Uncovered, the podcast with your host, Jason Irving. Join me in a journey to understand what's truly happening in your world and the world around you. This is not about how you're living life on the surface. It's about what's truly driving you from under the covers. I'm going to take you on a journey to deeply uncover the reason why you are here, the ultimate purpose in your problems and the way that they have shaped your life up until now. See, I believe you have a purpose, and your problems are the highway towards ultimate realization of that journey towards freedom and the reconnection of your true self. I've been told I have a different spin on most things, and I'll be giving you my understanding of life, love, and what we're all here for, purpose. To get the best out of this podcast, drop what you already know so you can discover what's beyond you. So join me, let's play this game of life and bring on liberation, transformation, and change. Let's do this. Hey guys, welcome to Uncovered. I have this amazing woman, her name's Wendy Wright, and I'm really looking forward to sharing with you guys and uncovering who Wendy is, what she does, and how she ticks. So welcome to Uncovered, Wendy.
Thanks, Jason.
No worries. So I've been wanting to get you on my podcast for a while.
I know.
And it's been a bit of a challenge because of, I'm not sure whether it's self-esteem issues or whether you're ready or not. But I'm really excited to talk to you because, you're one of those people who has, as a female in an industry which is male dominated, you've managed to really succeed as a woman, as an empowered woman, to step into areas that most women don't step into. Would you agree?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So, guys, we're talking about the Defence Force here. So, can you give us a little bit of a rundown of, how you started in the Defence Force, and what was happening for you in the beginning?
Um, I was working as a super qualified childcare worker and hated it because my kids were in the same age group, so 24/7 with toddlers running around. And my background was testing at a pathology lab, and a TECO job came up at a place called Munitions Test Centre, and as entry-level TECO, and applied for the job, didn't expect to get it, and landed the job. For the first 6 months, I didn't know what the job really was. And then all of a sudden, I've gone, this is the job. So basically, I was testing munitions and weapons to make sure that they were safe enough for those people in uniform. It was safe enough for them to use. And
Yeah.
also some very, very sensitive explosives that were safe enough for production workers to use.
Yeah, I love that. And so what was it like being a woman in that industry? What did it feel like being sort of maybe a little bit the odd one out? Um,
Definitely the
in
odd
the
one out. I was the only woman in Australia doing that work at the time,
Mhm.
and it was very much a boys' club. When I first started, I had said to me by many different people, including our unit headquarters, by people who were my dad's generation, you only got the job because they're looking for a female to get quotas up and go home. You take your man's job, go home and look after your kids.
Yeah,
Not just
wow.
once, but and not just by one person. I lost count how many times, but that was like waving a red flag to me. I thought, I'm not going to let you guys win. Put that in your back pocket because I'm here and I'm going to succeed.
Oh, I love that. And so you use negativity as a way to go, I'm going to prove these people wrong. Would you agree?
Yep, absolutely. Yep.
And also potentially at a time where, it's today's world is very different to when you started, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely. Like I'm talking the late 90s, I started in defense, and thankfully a lot has changed. And I speak to a lot of, and I mentor a lot of young female engineers in particular, but also male engineers. And they can't believe some of the stuff that I was subjected to. And there's no way it would be acceptable these days. And it shouldn't have been acceptable back then either.
No, but it was like the thing, listeners, is that we could look at today's age as being very difficult. There's lots of things that, today's age has to deal with. That as a female going into any organization in the
Mhm.
90s, you were always taking a backseat to men. Men were
Oh, for
always
sure.
in, men were always the rulers. Men were always the ones that had the say, and they had the last say, didn't they?
Oh, they did. They did. And even to the point where there was a particular person in management of the unit that I was working in, and that he was trying to groom me to say that, okay, if you do what I want you to do, you'll end up being in my role when I retire.
Yeah, wow.
And and the thing was, he wanted sexual favors.
Yeah.
And when I turned that down, he made my life hell.
Yeah, that must be really, really hard, Wendy, to know that you had to really sort of push. And why did you stay? Like, what made you decide to
I
stay?
needed a job, and I was in a town where there weren't a lot of jobs. It was a secure, permanent role, and the salary was more than the female salary in that area.
Mm.
And it ended up that I ended up separating from my then husband. And so I was a single mum working. I really did need that job to survive.
Yeah, so it was a survival instinct decision. And, what was it like having to go through what you're calling hell, and you got to the other side? Like, how long did it take, for you to, sort of work through this? And did you get any help from anyone when this was going?
Um, we worked on a commercial contractor's site, but we were defence personnel. And thankfully, there were management before the company that whose site we worked on, and even their nurse and their WHS manager, they kept an eye on me and they would check in with me to make sure I was okay.
Yeah, wow. So you did have some sort of level of
Yeah.
support.
And plus I'd made some really good friends at the facility as well. And they were forever checking in with me.
Yeah. And so for you, Wendy, you've gone through that really difficult period of not feeling that you mattered, or, unworthiness, and, putting you in basically a pigeonhole of this
Yeah.
is you just deserve to be down into the mud and you don't deserve anything. What made you keep going? You get accolade upon accolade over these last couple of years, especially. It's been being you've been thrown so many accolades your way. What is it right now that's sort of turned, or when was it that the corner started to get turned for you?
Yeah. Gotcha.
Go.
There was a corporate level manager who had worked his way up. He started in the lab that worked for the company on the site that we worked on. And he mentored me initially to teach me how to test prime explosives and the safety things around it and all that type of stuff. And he'd always kept an eye on me. And he called me into his office one day and he said, I want you to be working for me.
Mm.
And he said, would you? And I said, well, it depends on what the salary is and what the job is. And I said, look, I don't know what your salary rates are. And so he'd already preempted that, had a printout and showed me. I said, nothing under that figure. And he said, it might take a while, but I want to create a job for you. I'll have to go through due process, which we went through due process. And literally the position description was written around my experience.
Yeah, wow.
Yeah.
So, I have quite often called you out for being brilliant and really good at what you do. And you have been pretty good at dismissing me, Wendy, for a while now. Why why is it when someone has so much skill level? Is this, I think this is also a female thing. I really think women do struggle to give themselves the accolades that they deserve, especially of our generation and above, that it's even more systemic for women to not put their hand up and say, I'm amazing, especially Australian women. So, what is it that makes you sort of dismiss or just not accept your accolades? What do you think goes on inside of you?
I think it's the imposter syndrome because, yes, I have a teaching degree, which has got nothing to do with the industry I work in. I have an applied science degree, but I'm not an engineer, but I do engineering. And for many, many years, I was told, you're not an engineer. What the hell would you know? Know
Right,
your place. And my retort quite often was, yeah, what in the hell would I know? I'm only a dead shit techo.
right. So you've spent time probably taking some of that feedback on board.
Yeah.
And by the sounds of it, you've used that feedback as a positive to get where you want to go. Would you agree?
Yeah, it took me a while to get to that mindset. And I think one of the big things was when I changed from defense to industry, at the munitions factory, I basically had more engineering authority than just about all of the engineers I worked with. And
Yeah.
that was due to my experience, hands-on experience.
Yeah. So one thing, listeners, I want you to have a little bit of a think about here is that when he's talking about experience wins over your qualifications, and I truly believe that this is the case, that if you have a wealth of experience, eventually people just look at your experience, don't they, Wendy?
Yeah, they do. Like, classic example now is the job that I'm in. I had the company's HR chase me when I was in Hawaii on a work conference, and they left the job open so I could get back to Australia to apply for it. And I was the only one that they took through to second interview because no one else had the experience that I've got.
Yeah. And so for you now, do you feel like you can say, hey, I'm good?
I can. It's taken me a lot of years to be able to do that. And I think the affirmation or the confirmation to me was, what is it? Last year, I was nominated for Women in Defence Awards for engineering. And this year, I made the finals as a finalist for the Australian Defence Industry Awards as an engineer. And yeah, never expected anything like that.
Yeah, I love that. And this is from a woman who didn't do an engineering degree, listeners. So one thing I want you guys to think about when this is the reason why I wanted to uncover you, Wendy, today is that you might not believe in yourself, right?
Yeah.
At the end of the day, if you persist in doing something over a long period of time, something just clicks, doesn't it? Eventually, and as you said, you've been in the industry for a really long time, over 20, 26, 27 years, some 30
Yeah.
years, somewhere around there.
Um, yeah, heading towards 20, 28 years.
Yeah. And so you can be in something for 28 years and still have maybe that humility that actually can damage your mind a little bit, where you're not really accepting your true brilliance. And then something just clicks, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. Like, I don't know. I think you're right before about being like a confidence thing, especially in women. And the industry I'm in is really tough and it can chew you up and spit you out. And I've seen it do that to men and women. And not everyone has got, I'll say, the fortitude or the guts to actually continue on.
hmm So what would you what can you credit to yourself that you've have the fortitude and the guts that allowed you to continue on, especially after having, experiences in the workforce that women should not be having to work through. I know I got a person escorted out of the Australian Tax Office because of inappropriate approaches towards women, and I just put my hand up and because
Hmm.
no one else was, so he got kicked out of the ATO. That was in the 2000s, a little bit different. Things are a lot more open now.
Yeah,
What is it like? What is it about you that has that fortitude that doesn't give up when other people quite often do?
I hate to fail.
Wow.
Yeah. Failure to me is not an option. And that's why I think I've been so determined to just dig my heels in and just keep going, look at opportunities and check the opportunities out. And if I think it's worth having a go at, put the hat in the ring and just go for it.
Yeah. So you couldn't fail.
I could fail.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you did it anyway.
Yeah.
And was it because of you had to with the work, like because you're a single mum with a family? Was there an added incentive way back then that
Oh,
you were in
absolutely.
that plane?
Absolutely. Because but the chances of employment in that area, and the girls were settled in school, and I didn't want to rip them out of school, and because they were settled and they were doing well. And so let's face it, a town of about 7,000 people, there's not much industry there.
Mm.
And I didn't want to have to go into working, say, in a shop or cleaning a bank or whatever.
Yeah, so you didn't want to do that sort of job. You wanted something where, you would do something that you felt was going to be beneficial to not only you, but I look at you, Wendy, as an inspiration for your daughters as well. You know, to have girls see a mum chase life and not like have life do something to you. I've had so many people say to me, because of this, I couldn't do this.
Yeah,
Right. So many people have made an excuse to say, oh, I couldn't get there because X, Y, and Z. You could have easily quit. You could have
I could
easily
have.
given up. Right.
Yeah, I could have. And I also put it down to a level of maturity when I joined defence. If I had have joined in my 20s, I would have been chewed up and spat out. I didn't have the self-confidence in myself then. And I was glad that I started working when I was in my early 30s with defence. So that way I could actually stand up to the bullies. And I actually got to the point where I would call them out on it. They didn't like it, but yeah, that, if I wasn't happy with what they'd said, they got told.
Mm. Yeah, I love that. And I think this is something that I remember when I first met you, Wendy. And you and I have a very, very different relationship. You know, you've been known as being a really strong woman, right? The
Yeah,
thing that I've got to experience with you is the strength of your emotions. Like you've brought you've moved into tears with me, and I've uncovered this beautiful, soft, really gentle woman that probably very few people know about. Would you agree? Especially in the work
yeah,
environment.
yeah. I have the walls up and I have the mask on.
Mm.
And you're right, I have been known to wield the sledgehammer when I've needed to. I don't like doing it, but I will if I have to. If it's not right, make it right.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's only people who really close to me that get to see that side of me, the other side of me.
Yeah, but I wasn't close to you at all. You just let me in,
No,
right? And it was really lovely because we had a straightaway bonded connection. And it was really safe. Can you explain what happened there? Like, why did I gain your trust so quickly? Like, it was the first time you saw me, essentially.
yeah, I think it was compared to the other, I'll say men in my life, it's been a lot of them have been alpha males and all that type of stuff, and you're completely different to that.
Hmm.
And it was a really refreshing change.
Yeah, I love that. And so what do you think this is a really important question and I think you're a really good amazing person to answer this. For women going into the workforce, what do you suggest that they need to bring to the table? Like I know from your experience now you had to prove yourself a lot, right?
Yeah,
And I know a lot of people they feel like they have to do that when they jump into the workforce in the beginning. That's a very normal process.
yeah.
From a wise perspective, from a female perspective now, what would you suggest women need to do to step up to the mark, let's say?
I would strongly suggest find someone who has been through a lot, whether it be male or female, and connect with them and have them mentor you. And that way, when you come across situations that you think, hey, I'm not sure about this, tap into that person's experience and say, hey, have you ever experienced this? How did you handle it? Or have you got some advice on how I can actually work with this?
Yeah, I love that because you really didn't have anyone in the beginning.
No, not in the beginning.
And I had very limited in my experience of where I set myself up in my business. And for people who have had to do it alone, you have this natural independence that's so strong, don't you?
I do. Yeah. My friends and my girls call me fiercely independent.
Yeah. And I think that's, and so what Wendy's saying, listeners, is that she's saying don't do fiercely independent if she had
Lean
her
on
time
others.
back.
Yeah, lean
Right?
on others.
Lean on others, get support, and
Yeah,
make sure that that is there. So then when things are hard, you've got someone to lean on, yeah?
absolutely. Yeah, it would
Yeah.
make life a lot easier.
Yeah, and you can feel your emotions right there of, where you didn't get that, did you? You didn't know
No,
how. Um, and in that time, there wasn't any real things like I have created in the world to actually provide that, were there?
no, not at all. Especially when being in a male-dominated area, you couldn't even reach out to someone that's gone through the same stuff.
Yeah. And this is the Wendy I've gotten to experience, listeners, is that this deeply emotional person reminding herself she is a phenomenon. Like she's been able to do something that a lot of women have not been able to do. She stood up when and been counted when no one else she could count on. And what I find, this is why I wanted to do this podcast with you, Wendy, because I really truly believe, especially in this day and age, women still don't get equality in the workplace. I still
No,
think
they don't.
I don't think it's right. I think women have a skill set that a lot of men don't, and that's emotional awareness and emotional connection that men just don't even know really. Most men, I do, but most men don't know how to land emotional connection in the workplace, and it's so essential for to create harmony and safety. And this is what I believe women provide in the work environment is harmony and safety. It's the
Totally
cornerstone.
agree. And um, I'll say that the manager that I'm working to at the moment, um, wonderful female leader, and the company calls them leaders, not managers, which I think's brilliant. And she's got so much emotional intelligence and the way the whole team actually works together. And you can just tell she's leading by example, and it's really refreshing.
Yeah. It's so nice to know that that this is starting, it's slowly starting to change. It's really, in its baby steps in your industry, isn't it? It's like
Yeah, it still
very,
is.
very much in an infantile stages, but it takes people with the courage of yourself to be able to step in and to show that women can go into organizations that are male dominated and actually dominate them.
Yeah,
But you
yeah.
don't dominate them, do you, Wendy?
No,
You're basically here for the human race. It's like
yeah.
different forms
And
of domination.
yeah, and like I prefer not to wield the sledgehammer, but the way I look at it, you get more results by providing honey than wasps coming at you.
Yeah, I love that. And so Wendy, I really am super grateful that you've jumped on this podcast with me today because we're going to do it next week. And I just messaged you, can we do it today? And I hope listeners, you've been given some inspiration about, what it is to be a strong, capable woman with a soft underbelly, right? You've got a beautiful soft underbelly and you know how to, wield the axe, as you've said. At the same time, you know how to be, showing what a truly confident and integral person um, can do in the workplace.
Yeah, no, it's been good. Thank you.
No worries. Is there anything you could suggest, any more that you could suggest for our listeners to sort of take in as a golden nugget?
I think is create a support network around you, whether you're male or female, because I know guys struggle as well, and get to know people, let people get to know you, and celebrate the good stuff and look for help when times are tough.
Yeah, I love that. So it's this is the beauty of I think what we've uncovered today, listeners, is that be vulnerable, be open, share yourself, share your magic, and be like Wendy, take a chance on yourself and do it even when you feel you can't. And even when someone might be telling you it's not possible, if you want to be like Wendy and prove to yourself, not them, that you can make the life the way you would like to lead it.
Yeah.
So, Wendy, I'm really grateful that you've jumped on Uncovered today. And I really appreciate the opportunity to spend time with such an amazing woman. And hopefully, listeners, you really take heed on this, whether you're male or female, to be able to take a chance on yourself and say yes. Thank you so much, Wendy, for jumping on here today.
Thanks, Jason.
Hey, thanks so much for listening to our podcast. We'd love it if you could like and share it with your friends. Our website address is www.wellnessbreakthroughacademy.com. We also have all of the videos on YouTube under Wellness Breakthrough Academy as well. We also do small courses, live events. I have an amazing book called From Broken to Breakthrough. We'd love the opportunity to give you a hand to help you live your purpose, to find out what you're here for, to give you the direction. Our courses are amazing and we do everything really, really differently for what's happening in the world at the moment. So come and find out how we can help you break your limitations so you can live the life of your dreams. We'll chat soon.